The groundbreaking ceremony of the Dennery North Water Supply Redevelopment Project. This momentous occasion marks a significant milestone for the government of St. Lucia, but more specifically for the residents of Dennery North. We are proudly touched by the generosity of the Mexican government in providing US $5 million towards the implementation of this long overdue project. Your Excellency, we owe a debt of gratitude to your government, and please do convey our heartfelt thanks. This project, ladies and gentlemen, demonstrates the commitment of the government of St. Lucia, both current and former, in improving the quality of life of residents of Dennery North. We are quite familiar with the saying, water is life, as depicted here on Wasco's banner. While we do not discount the indispensable role that water as a resource plays in the provision and sustenance of life, for us in the valley, we declare that a reliable supply of good quality potable water is life. For many decades, we have experienced chronic water shortages coupled with poor water quality. I must admit, ladies and gentlemen, that the Dennery North has benefited from several projects aimed at protecting our water sources and reducing the incidence of waterborne diseases like bilharzia, which many of us contracted in the late 70s and early 80s from prolonged use of contaminated river water. One such initiative is the Mabuya Valley Development Project, which during its lifetime constructed public laundry facilities in La Pearl, Belmont, Oleon, and Gadet. The rainwater harvesting initiative was piloted by the Jeff I.W. Camp project to demonstrate to the residents an alternative method of collecting safe drinking water. Another initiative of the I.W. Camp project was the Oleon Wetlands demonstration. And this was designed to show residents how wastewater released from septic tanks can be filtered before it reaches areas of human contact and waterways. This was done, ladies and gentlemen, to reduce the level of contaminants in our rivers and streams. The Basic Needs Trust Fund, that was the name it was called then, in collaboration with the Gadet Improvement Committee, installed a 50,000-gallon water tank to alleviate the chronic water shortages experienced by residents of Gadet, and subsequently provided pipe-borne water to the people of Gadet for the very first time in over 50 years. While it is a fact that these projects, among others, brought some measure of relief to the residents, there are still areas today in Dennery North that experience major challenges with regard to water. Some have had no water in their taps for more than 6 months, and perhaps a year. I was told that Montparnasse has not received water in a very long time. Others have complained about the particles and larvae seen in water collected from their taps. This is not welcoming. We would all agree. This water supply redevelopment project, we are told, will not only ensure that every pocket community in Dennery North receives a reliable supply of water, but through the establishment of a proper treatment plant, it will guarantee better water quality. In closing, ladies and gentlemen, we wish to applaud all parties for the critical role that they have played in ensuring that this water project, which was simply a subject of discourse, has now become a reality. We are very excited because we believe that upon completion of this project, Dennery North will enjoy a reliable supply of good quality potable water. Let me take this final opportunity to extend a warm welcome to all of you, and I hope that you do enjoy the rest of the ceremony. I thank you.
I'm pretty happy to be here today to represent UNOPS in the groundbreaking ceremony of the Dennery North Water Supply Project, since it represents quite an important milestone in the history of this project. It is also very symbolic for us because it's actually the first project that UNOPS was involved in the entire Caribbean region. And we are now proud, as a matter of fact, to showcase that UNOPS office for the Caribbean region is based in the simply beautiful island of St. Lucia. Just a quick overview of who we are. UNOPS is a United Nations Office for Project Services. We have a mandate to support government by providing project management, infrastructure, and procurement services globally. UNOPS brings not just, let's say, global technical expertise, but in construction and project management. But most importantly, I believe that UNOPS combines this expertise with a focus on sustainability and national capacity development. We assist governments improve infrastructure planning and procure to save costs and ensure maximum return on government and therefore taxpayers' money. A few words on the Dennery North Water Supply Project. It's actually a project that is divided in two phases, with a phase one being jointly financed by the government of Mexico and the government of St. Lucia. Phase one of the project will allow the production of 0.4 million imperial gallons per day of potable water to cover the immediate needs of the community in Dennery North, while phase two of the project will ensure a sustainable water supply for the long term with a production of approximately 1.4 million imperial gallons per day. Today, phase one is well started with a design-build company that has been contracted and has mobilized in December last year. And the duration for phase one of the project is estimated at 12 months, which would allow its completion by the end of this year. We believe those are aggressive timelines, but which would be feasible, and hopefully there will be a good Christmas gift for this year, for the community of Dennery. Phase one includes the design of the entire system, of the entire water supply system, the construction of a water intake and a raw water pipeline with capacity for the long-term needs. This is to avoid having to rebuild those structures when phase two starts. And it includes, obviously, the construction of the 0.4 million gallon water treatment plant and associated pipe works. UNOPS has mobilized a team to support the Ministry of Agriculture and WASCO in applying international best practice project management, procurement, and construction management to ensure the works are sustainable to a high standard, with a specific attention that will be placed on resilient criteria. I would like to take the personal opportunity to thank Ambassador Luis Manuel Lopez Moreno for all the efforts made in securing the necessary funding for phase one and for a continued successful collaboration. I would like to also thank our colleagues, I hope I'm allowed to say colleagues now, at WASCO, with whom we have been working hard since the beginning of the project, and this collaboration has been smooth and constructive. It is also the time to thank the community of Dennery North in advance for their understanding, as construction works might create some disturbance, which we promise we'll try to keep at a minimum. UNOPS is proud to be part of such an important project and to collaborate with St. Lucia, and we look forward to partnering together in the future on equally important projects. Thank you.
It is indeed a great pleasure for me to be here today to attend today's launch of the Dennery North Water Supply Project. I'm happy to have witnessed the beginning of this project, which will contribute to the welfare of the residents of Dennery North, who have been long suffering in their desire to have a reliable and safe supply of potable water. This project, ladies and gentlemen, will help meet the requirement for reliable, sustainable, and improved water supply for Dennery North, as it addresses all aspects of the water supply, from source to treatment to distribution to storage. The conceptual work on this project began way back in 2015, and while it has taken a bit longer than anticipated, we are pleased that it has finally taken off. To this end, we are grateful to the people and the government of Mexico who have provided grant funding to the tune of US $5 million, and also to the government of St. Lucia, who have also provided US $10 million through loan funds from the CDB. Without this financial support, we would not be here today. The residents of Dennery North will have a critical part to play after the completion of this project in terms of assisting WASCO in safeguarding the catchment area, the treatment facility, and the tanks. We have, on too many occasions, seen persons vandalize our equipment and infrastructure with no regard to the implication of this. These facilities belong to you, the residents of Dennery North, because you are the beneficiaries and therefore should not allow anyone to destroy it. We will require your assistance in locating leaks and breaks in our infrastructure so that we can restore them. And these will occur from time to time. This is the type of collaboration which would bring mutual benefit to both WASCO and the residents of Dennery North. Last but by no means least, I sincerely hope that the support from the people and government of Mexico will further strengthen the friendly ties that exist between our countries, and that the successful completion of this project can lead to further assistance, not only for WASCO, but St. Lucia in general. I thank you.
It's a great pleasure to be part of this ceremony, which is the most sincere and palpable example of how Mexico and Mexicans are committed to the well-being of the people of both the Eastern Caribbean and St. Lucia. 70% of the budget for this project comes from the Infrastructure Fund for Mesoamerican and Caribbean countries as part of Mexico's commitment to the development of our region. In that regard, I would like to recognize the Mexican Agency for International Development Cooperation, the AMEXIT, as a pivotal actor in making this project possible, and also UNOPS as financial intermediary and the one in charge of the construction. About this, allow me to say that the collaboration with the engineer machine is very hard and continuously, and thanks to that collaboration, we have now the opportunity to be in this ceremony. Mexico's relationship with the Caribbean, Mexico's relation with the Caribbean is one of friendship, mutual assistance and cooperation, and in Mexico, we are trying to further strengthen this relation in many strategic areas in which we are currently collaborating. Here, I would like to mention two of these areas. First is the fact that we are part of the Greater Caribbean, and as such, we are interested in strengthening our ties with the region, especially with the people of the Eastern Caribbean stage, which we recognize are strategic partners of Mexico in the world stage. Secondly, the President of Mexico has emphasized that Mexico is a responsible global actor, as well as trustworthy and reliable partner for the countries of the region. As such, Mexico is committed to being a part of the development efforts of the Caribbean through cooperation efforts, both in infrastructure and the offering of technical assistance. In this matter, we are developing so many projects that are very important for the regions. The opening of the Embassy of Mexico in 2005 strengthened the bilateral relations with Mexico and St. Lucia and has progressively tightened the relation ever since. For Mexico, it is of the utmost importance to emphasize that through further integration, cooperation, and trade, the greater Caribbean region has a brighter future. Trade is an area with huge potential in its capacity to bring our countries closer, which has not been fully exploited. To demonstrate the potential for further economic integration with Mexico, allow me to highlight that Mexico is currently the 11th biggest economy in the world and the largest economy in the greater Caribbean. Additionally, Mexico is the 10th largest exporter in the world with around 381 billion USD worth of exports per year. However, Mexican products constitute less than 2.25 of the imports of St. Lucia. And we need to work and correct that. In terms of cooperation, I'm proud to say that for Mexico, the Caribbean, along with Central America, are the priority regions. This is why Mexico has focused on developing cooperation in its relations with the Caribbean, primarily through infrastructure programs and progressively through technical and scientific cooperation. I am pleased to say that presently, Mexico has 6 main cooperation initiatives in the Eastern Caribbean. Let me mention them. In St. Vincent and the Grenadines, Mexico is currently financing the Cumberland Bridges and River Embankment Protection Project. We had the ceremony, the groundbreaking ceremony on the 8th of February with the president of the engineer machine and the Prime Minister of Grenada. And I want to say that it's very important for the Caribbean that the Mexico is developing the project for the Parliament. We are contributed with the democracy in the region. In Antigua and Barbuda, Mexico is in the final stages of approving a substantial investment in a project to construct infrastructure related to social housing. We are in the final stages, and I will be in Antigua approximately to talk and finish the process. In Dominica, we are currently in discussions regarding the relocation of Petit Saban, a town severely damaged during Tropical Storm Erika in 2015, which requires the relocation of these people to safer ground. We are financing the project for $5 million also. In Grenada, the current stage of the construction of the House of Parliament that I mentioned has financed by Mexico resources. In St. Kitts and Nevis, Mexico financed two police stations and is presently working on water conservation and agriculture in a very important project. In St. Lucia, apart from the Dennery water project, Mexico has already completed the ambulance security and morgue components of St. Jude's Hospital in Vieux-Fort, and also has many projects in agriculture. In this point, I want to mention, and the Prime Minister, the Honorable Prime Minister knows that one Mexican company is working to propose some areas of collaboration with the government of St. Lucia in this region. These infrastructure and cooperation projects demonstrate that Mexico is a trustworthy and reliable partner. In addition to this, we have identified together with our partners in the Eastern Caribbean states areas of cooperation and potential cooperation in the following 6 strategic fields: disaster risk management and prevention, agriculture, education, tourism, trade, facilitation, and sport. We believe that education cooperation can have a particularly positive impact in St. Lucia. As such, Mexico offers a scholarship for master's and PhD levels, as well as subsidized education for bachelor's degrees. I presented this project to the Prime Minister a few months ago. This is a way for allowing talented youth to pursue studies in Mexico and, upon completion, apply the knowledge gained in the further development of St. Lucia. I encourage the St. Lucian public to contact the embassy for more information in that regard. I must emphasize that Mexico's actions are consistent with its discourse. We are conscious of our emergent role in the region and are committed to continue fostering a closer and more productive relationship with our partners. Hence, we are here today at the official launching of the water project for Dennery North, and Mexico maintains its continued cooperation with St. Lucia as well as the other Eastern Caribbean states. And thanks to the Honorable Prime Minister for his continued friendly and support. Recently, the Prime Minister called me in order to offer the support from St. Lucia for the situation that we are now developing with the United States. And my government and my president say thank you, Honorable Prime Minister, for that support that is very recognized in my country. Thank you very much. As a final note, and somewhat of a tangent, I want to reiterate the obvious. Mexico is committed and will remain committed to building water systems, hospitals, parliaments, towns, and bridges, not walls. Thank you very much.
I have scanned the faces in the audience very carefully, and as such, I can accurately conclude that today's ceremony is a moment of vindication for many of us who have worked during the last 4 years and continue to work steadfastly for the realization of this Mexican government-funded project. As parliamentary representative for Dennery North, I am particularly pleased with where we are at today. Although we had been hoping that the initial completion date of this project would have been in the year 2015, when the project was first conceived with the Mexican government. But the fact that we are here in 2017, starting the civil works, gives an indication of the much longer gestation period we have had to endure. Nevertheless, our hard work is paying off today. Earlier on, you heard from community resident, Ms. Polius, who I think had an insight into my presentation today because she said quite a bit of what I had planned to say. But I will still mention some of what she mentioned, if only for emphasis. Historically, we have had water-related problems in the Mabuya Valley from the 1970s into the 80s, when bilharzia wreaked havoc in every pocket community of the Mabuya Valley. Children were dying, babies were dying, toddlers were dying, and that had a very adverse effect on the infant mortality rate of our country. En tant qu'il passé 1970 et puis 1980, nous tenions une situation en Dennery North et en Mabuya Valley. Côté moun, ti maman en particulier, te ka mort, puis l'eau qui était bon pour servir pour laver, pour bain et boire, te ka entrer en système yo. And the government at the time, working very closely with the World Health Organization and PAHO, were able to cure that problem once and for all. But the water problems of Dennery North, as we know them today, really started during the heyday of the banana industry, when forested areas which ensured a clean and continuous supply were indiscriminately cleared for banana cultivation, thereby destroying the watershed. Atan le fig de kafe, a chay bon ba ban nou. L'année en pile moun valia qui te vle aller planter fig. Ek la pateni assez terre pour planter fig. So moun te ka aller en forest là, te ka couper pied bois pour faire les pour planter fig. Ek lè nou te ka couper ces pieds bois ça, nous pas te ka réaliser that nous te ka mettre nous en danger et nous te ka affecter ces sources gloire nous tenir. So the problem, as you would have heard from a previous speaker, is one of insufficiency and also a problem of quality. Not only is it a case where we do not have enough water in Dennery North, but the quality of what we do get is woefully inadequate. I remember there was a professor who came from a Canadian university, and he was randomly testing water in Dennery North. And in a very casual conversation, he said to some of us who were there at the time with him, that the water is so bad that in certain parts of Canada, it will only be recommended for watering the lawn. And I had to convince him that in as much as the quality is woefully inadequate, this is what people have to use on a daily basis. So we've had issues with drastic reduction in terms of supply, and as I said, quality has also been compromised. When banana cultivation was at its peak, we had a situation where agrochemicals were infiltrating the sources. And today, some health experts are inclined to believe that some of the ailments we see in the community is as a result of some of the practices that we embraced in a previous era. So today, I'm very, very pleased that this project is on stream and it is going ahead as we initially planned. As the problem became more acute, the more elevated communities became more affected. Quand problem glou commence venir plus soye, ou teni place comme Montparnasse, Agouin-Rivière, Montparnasse, Dennery, Austin Hill, Belmont. Those more elevated communities, Belmont, Montpaille in Grand Ravine, they became the worst affected communities as a result. And sometimes when people came to my constituency office lamenting the situation, I had to say to them on occasion that in as much as you're not getting water, you should not be too dismayed, because you are basically being preserved from contaminated water, which can easily cause sickness for yourself and for your family. But that notwithstanding, I think water is a basic human right, and it is something that should be made available to all citizens once the resources are available. So today, my brothers and sisters, constituents, government officials, diplomatic corps, I am truly elated as the parliamentary representative to see that the project is actually happening.
I am pleased to be here to be invited to address this gathering today at this auspicious event, the groundbreaking ceremony of the much anticipated Dennery North Water Supply Project. I regard the commencement of this project as a milestone for Dennery North. This project, ladies and gentlemen, helps to meet the requirements for a safe, reliable, and climate-resilient supply of potable water to residents and businesses in the Dennery North community. According to the last census report, the Mabuya Valley has a population of approximately 7,679 people, where approximately 19% of households have a water storage tank at the homes, and 8.9% use alternative sources such as rainwater harvesting or rivers. Reports have also shown that at the national level, the district of Dennery, receives the lowest average supply of tap water per week at 3.53 days. As a young man growing up in the Dennery North community, especially right here in Grand Riviere, I cannot help but recall the unreliability of the water supply systems in our community and how the water storage severely disrupt everyday living for many households and business activities, resulting in migration, reduced productivity, and profitability. This further translated to significant implications for business growth, investment, job creation, and livelihood protection. Another important factor is the time lost from school, work, and other important activities due to the unreliability of water supply. This project does not only seek to address the safe, reliable, and climate-resilient supply of water resilience, but can also aid in reduction of health issues such as the Zika, the dengue, the chikungunya, and other mosquito-borne diseases. With a reliable supply of potable water and proper garbage disposal practices, these ailments can be at a minimum. The development of our infrastructure in an equitable way continues to be a top priority for this government, and for this I commend the donor government of Mexico, the lending agency, Caribbean Development Bank, the implementing agency, WASCO, project managers from the United Nations Office for Project Services, UNOPS, the contractors, Consortium of Vinci Grant Projects from France, and Construction and Industrial Equipments Limited of St. Lucia, and especially the government of St. Lucia. Good quality water fit for human consumption is expensive to produce, and as a people, we should be mindful of this fact. As the government of St. Lucia, along with these agencies, expended over 17 million US dollars, I commend the community of Dennery North for being generous and patient all along. I am confident that the new water supply, and at the end of all phases, not only ease access to water, but an efficient and regular water supply for the entire Dennery North community. I am grateful, and I know that people of the Mabuya Valley are indeed grateful for the commencement of this project, and look forward to the timely completion and delivery. It is indeed notwithstanding the health hazards that we are here today. Again, I would like to take the opportunity to thank the Mexican government for their contribution. Without them, we would not have been here today. I thank you.
Today is really your day. This is a significant milestone for all of you. And it's very sad that in the year of 2017, that we would still find ourselves here celebrating and recognizing and putting together projects to be able to connect people to water. And unfortunately, we still have some communities in St. Lucia that are still suffering under this. And it just goes to show you that you've seen from both parties that this is not something that anybody would want somebody to be deprived of. But I think it's very reflective of the huge demands that we have as a country and the ability to find the resources to be able to deliver on all those demands. And I think that the representative from Dennery North, Sean, really did a great job in trying to highlight those difficulties. And I can say to you that it was without hesitation, Sean, that we would support this project. The people, the residents of this community have suffered for too long and have made such an incredible contribution to the development of this country by the citizens that come from here, but more importantly as one of the key bread baskets to this country. And for that, we're all very, very grateful, and I'm glad we were able to play our part. Water is life. I mean, there's nothing more that you can really say to make that more important than what it is. But more than just life, it's also economic life. The ability for your agricultural sector to continue to prosper, the ability for economic development to take place requires sustainable quality water. And I'm very happy to see that now Dennery North has reached and is about to reach that plateau. And I'm looking for even greater things to be achieved in the future coming out of this constituency. It would be remiss for me not to take a moment to really not only thank the Ambassador Moreno, but also to say thank you to the Mexican government. 20 years ago, Mexico was facing its own dilemmas. In the mid-'80s, it had a major financial crisis. In fact, the state had to sell off a lot of its assets. In fact, there's a very famous project called debt swapping. So where the government, who had shares in major assets, sold those assets for sometimes as little as 5 cents and 10 cents on the dollar, just to be able to get foreign exchange and to be able to put assets back into productivity. And the Mexicans created a miracle, really. I mean, they have become one of the more stable economies in the world. They have become the 11th largest economy in the world. When you go to the World Bank and the IMF and to the UN and to major agencies around the world, they are pregnant with Mexican expertise. And I think that that's very symbolic to what has happened. And it's very easy for a country that came from where it came from to be very selfish and to just focus on continuing to prove its own self. And I continue to say this, and every time I have an opportunity to say that, how grateful we are, how proud we are of what your achievements were. But more importantly, that you've chosen to share those resources with the rest of your brothers and sisters here in the Caribbean. So it is very fair to say, knowing what the resources are, even now firsthand, how important of a role that you played in this project. I also want to thank UNOPS for the incredible work that they have done and the standard in which they have fulfilled their role. And I want to say maybe publicly that we are in discussions with UNOPS to do a project to help us build up the capacity within our country to be better planners of our own infrastructure. So the goal would be to put together a project in which they would be working with our Ministry of Infrastructure, our Ministry of Economic Development, to put together a cadre of people that will be able to assist us in planning these projects out in the future, and more importantly, helping to provide the supervision so that we can start executing these things on our own. And I want to say that in my meeting with UNOPS, the point that they made very clear, that their job is to make sure that their job becomes redundant. Wasn't about continuing to stay here, that their greatest success will be when St. Lucia is able to achieve what we're doing and what they have been doing by themselves. So again, I want to thank you, and I very much look forward to hopefully we can bring that project to a completion very, very, very soon. The government of St. Lucia still had to make a contribution, not only in terms of cash, but in terms of resources. I'm very happy that WASCO is here. Again, when this is all said and done, the maintenance of this falls on that entity. And so receiving a gift sometimes doesn't end at that point. There is still this responsibility moving forward. And that this project, and the fact that it worked collaboratively between two governments, two political parties, is what we're trying to generate. St. Lucians must spend less time focusing on the negative and more time focusing on the positive. Let us celebrate what is great in our country. Let us take this week to commend ourselves, to pat each other on the shoulder, to hug each other, and say thank you. So, to Dr. Anthony, to the Labour Party, the former government, I want to say thank you for taking this initiative. To the Mexican government, to UNOPS, to all of you, I want to say thank you. And to my government, we played our little role, and we're very happy to be part of it. So congratulations to all of you. Thank you.